So yes, it's great to, be introduced saying she's a doctorate from Bath, she's a curriculum, and yes, but the honest fact, what I want to really share with all of you as teachers today, because I'm also a teacher, all these qualifications, certifications absolutely gets me on cutting edge research. It's just my job to do that, and gets me into conferences and work with experienced educators such as yourself. But there is a real story that I want to share with you that actually gives me the confidence to stand up in front of experienced educators such as yourself. Just look around in the room. Nobody here is from Teachers College, just out freshmen, yeah? Everybody is experienced. You bring your own wealth of experience. You have your own understanding of what works, what doesn't work. So what gives me the confidence to stand up and say, you're giving me about 5 to 6 hours of your precious time today. How can I add value to that precious time that you set aside from your very busy day as professionals? The story goes back to around early 2006 when I transitioned into teaching in an international American school. Before that, my experience was in IGCSE and the Indian curriculum with computer science. And of course, teaching science in Indian curriculum school is never difficult, right? Because every Indian has to become an engineer or a doctor. If not, you're a failure. So everybody wants to learn science. The IGCSE also very structured. So my first experience at the American International School in 2006, because the school did not offer computer science, I was expected to teach information technology in a global society, which is part AP DP course, IB diploma as well. So here I am. My first topic for the day was radio frequency identification. So I'm all ready, I've done all my research. I think it's kind of getting loud, so I'm going to put it here. Now can you still hear me? No, okay. So I'm all ready with my PowerPoint. I've done my research, my activities are ready, worksheets, like all of us hardworking teachers do. Everything's ready. It's out here, radio frequency identification, font 45. Possibly around after lunch, 1-ish, about 18 boys, higher, taller, bigger than me, walk in. They're around, and the tables normally are like this in our classrooms. They sit around, I introduce myself and the usual stuff, and I say, okay, today we're going to talk about radio frequency identification. And one of my students, Dimitri, removes his shoe and puts it right there on the table, upside down. And I'm thinking, whoa. I'm not an inexperienced teacher. I already was 12 years into teaching by then, but I've never experienced that from my students. And I'm backing off. And he says, Miss Sunder, in his husky, Miss Sunder, my shoe has an RFID chip. And in a minute, the learning environment just transpires. Everybody gets up from where they are. Everybody's around Dimitri's shoes. This was way early, 2006. Now possibly RFID is even more common. People know more about it. Everybody's around the shoe asking 100 questions. Hey, where did you get this? The usual stuff, right? Where did you get it? How much did you get it for? Did you bring it from the US when you came to Dubai? And where's the hardware? How does that communicate? Oh my God, does it communicate to your computer? Does it send signals? 100 million questions. And then Abdullah, who's the smartest kid in my class, and I'll tell you why he's smart. He never passed any exams, but he always had the most intelligent question at the right point of time. And I really think he's super intelligent. And he says, he's standing back from all of the crowd, and he says, Dimitri, I know why your parents gave you this as a birthday gift. They are tracking you. Did you get it? And everybody goes, oh my God, they're tracking you. So can this actually track people anywhere? What is the range? Again, another 100 million questions. A fantastic teachable moment that I totally failed, disempowered, because I did not have the knowledge or the understanding or the strategies to capitalize on that inquiry. That was the curiosity that was happening, because it was not in my PowerPoint, right? I had a plan. I had a lesson plan. I walked out that day every time I share this with educators, every single time, I literally get goosebumps. You know why? Because I'm very passionate at my job. I really want to do a good job, but that was the day I really failed. That was the day I was ready to quit. Sudha, teaching is not for you. Find something, sell stockings, go to supermarkets, Carrefour, find another sale, do something, but teaching is not for you. Anyway, down the corridor, tears rolling down, passionate as we are, we're also very emotional, particularly if we are female teachers. Couple of days later, the only thing I give credit to myself is, I want to keep trying. That's one thing I attribute to myself. You know, I just want to try. I don't want to say I want to try till I succeed because I really don't know how that looks sometimes, but I still want to try. So about 2 days later, cut a long story short, I go to my curriculum coordinator and I say, I'm really in trouble, can you help me? She's like, don't worry, sweetheart, this is okay. And she pulls out very elegantly, she gets up, she pulls out a book from the chest of drawers and she puts it on my table. She's like, go read this book, you get all the answers. And the book says, Stirring the Head, Heart, and Soul with Concept-Based Curriculum by Dr. Lynn Erickson. And I'm thinking, okay, it's going to stir my soul and my passion back to teaching. And I read the book cover to cover over the weekend. And what does it do? Stir another 100 million questions more. Do I have the answers? No. Am I feeling better? Not at all. And then I'm still very embarrassed of that email. That one email I sent to somebody which I never spell checked because I was so frustrated, ready to quit again. I wrote this big email to Dr. Lynn Erickson, whom I've never seen. But who reads emails? Who write books, right? Big authors and writers, who reads emails? So I write this big email pouring all my frustration, my challenges, my ready to quit mode. I shoot the email and I vividly remember that day, another long, long day, lunch duty in the soccer pitch, followed by a double lesson with a parent call waiting for me after school to explain the grades. I finished all of that, like 4:45, I plunked myself on front of my computer and what do I see? A reply from Dr. Lynn Erickson. Whichever part of the world she was, she picked it up, took the time to respond, not with all the answers, but to say, your discomfort is normal. Your challenges are understandable. There started a journey which still continues. I still have questions. If you actually look at some of the questions I asked, they're really, really stupid, but that's just me. But I'm not ashamed to ask questions because I want to know. And I know I make mistakes, but still I want to know. I know everything I hear I'm not going to do tomorrow, but I want to learn. So that brings me to the most critical point of today's session. No questions are stupid. If you have any question, it's not about me finishing all of this. It's about that communication. And like Iyad said, there are so many experienced, already thoughtful process going on with so many other questions and that's what's going to make it very enriching today. So please, please stop me if you have a question. Any question at this point before I continue? Everybody's good? Fantastic. So here, I have a few questions. See, I'm all about questions, right? I just want to know the quick pulse, just so that I'm kind of tweaking my presentation and pausing where I need to, just so that everybody is involved in the same way. So quick by show of hands, raise your hands if this is the first time you're attending an NGSS conference. Next Generation Science Standards. Fantastic. Thank you. Raise your hand if NGSS is absolutely new. You've never heard of it, but you're just here to know more. Okay, very good. Very good. Excellent. I really want to know that. Raise your hand if your school is in the process of already implementing and you're here to know more about. Is any school already implementing? A few of you. All right. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, I think that sort of gives me the pulse, so I know where we need to pause, where we need to give more explanation. And again, because there are so many of you who are absolutely new, and I really appreciate the fact that you've come to learn something totally new, and that's really appreciable, spending some time on that. So I like to follow the no. Is Iyad, is everything okay? Well, because if I do that, they can't hear me. Okay, a little lower. Can you hear me if I do this? No, right? Okay, is that okay? Okay? Well, once I start talking about science, it's just going to be wherever I'm holding it. Sorry. Yeah. So is that okay? All right. The model I want to follow, we call it KUD. What do we want to know, understand, and do? So the reason I followed this structure is because if we have been, I would say, I don't want to use the word teaching to standards, but if we have adopted a particular state standard, maybe it's California or Michigan or New York state standards, the difference between traditional standards and the next generation science standards is the emphasis on what our students need to be able to do and need to be able to understand, not just factually in science, but conceptually as well. Right? So three-dimensional model of the next generation science standards, that's the pattern I would like to follow when I work with you today. So hopefully by the end of the session, we will be able to know more about what the next generation science standards are. We will be able to understand what shift, what paradigm shift does it require in the classroom as teachers and as students, and what would our students be able to do. Remember, I'm saying students, not teachers, because the standards are student performance indicators. They are what evidence can my students demonstrate over the mastery of a particular standard. So we're going to look at what our students will be able to do in order to be next generation science students. The pattern of the workshop today will require you to wear multiple hats. The first 20 minutes, there will be a little bit of front loading in the sense, I want you to think as curriculum designers, right? In order to understand the next generation science standards, to implement them effectively, we need to reassess, okay, what were the curriculum designers thinking when they brought about this three-dimensional model? So I will introduce you to some of the, perhaps you already know it, some of you. For some of you, it may be new, but it's a great starting point to look at the curriculum design of before we approach the standard. We will then become students in our classrooms. We will do some activities as students. Okay, we all want to see how it looks when you're a student. And once we finish the activity, we'll wear our teacher's hat and evaluate that activity and say, hey, wait a minute. Maybe I do this activity already, and how can I actually make it more next generation science standard based? And then we'll keep toggling between researchers and teachers and so on. Is that good with everybody? Great. I have a very, very kind request. I know you're very busy people, but before I continue, can everybody make sure your mobile phones are switched off so that people around your table are able to focus? And we have a good conversation around the day. I totally understand. I'm a mother too. We all have professional responsibilities. If you do have to take a call, I'm okay with you taking a call outside. I totally understand. That's not a problem. But if you can just turn it on silent mode, that will be helpful for others more than for me. Okay? All right. So here we go. What is the roadmap for today? We're going to see how, when we subscribe to the next generation science standards, how is our classroom going to look like? How will it be different from our traditional lessons? And how can we move from a two-dimensional, where we just taught the facts and the skills in the science class, to a more conceptual engagement, right? That's the focus of entire next generation science standards. What do thinking classrooms look like? What does it look like when my students are thinking, when they're actively engaged in their learning process? When I do a lot of peer mentoring in my job, and when I'm with teachers, I say, you know, if you are working more harder than your students in the class, it's a time to evaluate that. You want to make your students work harder. You should not be the one doing all the work and directing and guiding, and at the end of the day, flopping into the chair with absolutely no energy left. right? So what does it look like? What do thinking classrooms look like? And what is concept-based, idea-centered curriculum, right? What is the big idea? So the whole notion here is when I prepare to teach a topic or a particular aspect of science, I'm repeatedly asking myself, what is it that my students take away from this lesson today that will make sense 20 years from today in their life? Why am I talking about the parts of a plant for 6 weeks in a short term of 2 months unless they are able to understand the big idea of the interdependence of the parts of a plant, the interdependence of how any system functions, and how every part of a system need to function optimally and cooperate for optimal utilization, be that the plant as a system, be that human body as a system, be that government as a system, or be that schools as a system. Can you see that shift already? So from a topic of plant, which is very structured and factual, I'm getting conceptual about systems and applying that understanding to multiple topics. We'll come back to that once again. As curriculum designers, we will look at how is knowledge structured. How is the cognitive process of learning happening in our students? I know we've all done it as a part of our teacher training at some point or the other, but it's great to look into saying, how do we structure that knowledge, particularly in science education when we are adopting the next generation science standards? And the big idea, we talked about it. And going back to my example where I totally failed on capturing the teachable moment, how can I use questions to drive the curiosity of learning amongst my students, right? How can I keep them engaged and passionate about their learning by allowing them to explore their concepts and misconceptions rather than me giving out all the answers, right? So that's what we're going to look at. When I often think of putting this together, Dr. Erickson reminds me, Sudha, remember, when you have really experienced educators, they walk into conferences and training saying, okay, there's so much already, now what am I going to learn today? You know, that skepticism, like, is this person really going to add some value to what I'm doing in the classroom? And she tells me, Sudha, your roadmap for a day is quite ambitious. Possibly by the time you've shared the roadmap, they're all looking like this. Oh my goodness, all of this until 3 o'clock. We're hungry for knowledge, but we're not wanting to drink from a fire hose, right? But I promise you, when you leave at 3, if not this, you will be close. Hopefully, it will light a lot of the neurons in your brain, and you will leave the room, continue to be thinking teachers, and think the next steps to become even better. That's my promise, and we'll come back to this at the end of the day. Any questions at this point before we carry on? So the next 20 minutes is a bit of front loading, but we will get through that quickly. So, what do thinking classrooms look like? And I know many of you here are coordinators, you're principals, you do teacher evaluations, you're already looking into teachers' appraisal processes, getting into a classroom and saying, was that a good lesson, was that not a good lesson? But what do thinking classrooms look like? I want you to take a minute to process this image and talk to the person sitting next to you in your table. What does this tell you about the teacher? What does this look like? Talk to the person next to you and then we will share. I want you to share. I'm glad the hands are going up. I'm coming to you. Talk to the person sitting next to you and I'll come back to you. In a minute. You good? It's what? Ah, okay.
Because
Yeah, according to inscription. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, with the scissor. Exactly, exactly. Can I have a mic that I can pass around, please? Let's start with the gentlemen, ladies, because as ladies, we already have lots to talk about it. I'm sure the gents do too, but let's give them an opportunity. Let's pick their brains gently and see what they have to tell us. Thank you. Is it okay that I pass? Yeah, you can. All right, cool. Anybody? What do we want to share? Sorry, I'm a little new. This is my first time in Saudi, though I've lived in Dubai 23 years. So I just want to make sure I'm culturally being very appropriate. So if there is something you are, please welcome to let me know. Any gentlemen, do you want to share your thoughts? Okay, you want to hear?
No, without the mic.
Without the mic?
Yep.
No, go with the mic. Come on. We're all teachers. We make mistakes. Go,
Okay.
Go.
I think the teacher is trying to form or to frame the ideas of the kids. But I think it has a bad aspect and a good aspect at the same time because she's trying to provide them with the data. Okay, this is one.
Okay.
The other one, trying to frame them. What's in her mind, she's gonna transfer it as it is.
Mm-hmm.
No aspect or no place for imagination to think.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah. So she said she's trying to frame their mind. Frame their mind. Yes, please.
Thank you. I also noticed the seating plan that she decided to her
us.
kids or the students in the class.
Yeah. Do you want to hold it closer, please? So
Okay. If you want me to
Yeah.
repeat it again.
Please.
I also noticed the seating plan that she decided to her children or the kids in the classroom, which is not cooperative at all regarding the activities that she would provide. They are sitting individually in a row that doesn't allow them to do anything, to work in pairs or in groups or even share the ideas with the others.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the way the children are seated, it talks a lot about the way she thinks and then exactly what she is doing, right? The ladies had some interesting conversations.
She's not allowing out-of-the-box thinking, and the students, the body language doesn't show any enthusiasm at all. They seem depressed, actually.
I love the fact that we're slowly getting into the seating plan. We're getting into the fact that there is no enthusiasm in the children to be there. Can you look at that? They really look sad. Somebody said to me in one of the workshops, it's almost like cars in a gas station. You know, just open the gas chamber, fill the gas, and move on. Keep going, right? Yes. Exactly, exactly.
According to my opinion, it looks like there is no space for the motivation of students, no group work, and they are not allowed to communicate with each other also, and teacher is just transforming the information into the child's mind without cooperating and just freezing it down there, and they have no room to understand. It's not the knowledge which is transferred through ideas or giving the understanding with different activities and strategies for the students to understand according to their mind level.
Absolutely.
Mind level.
So, yeah.
Sorry.
No, go.
Is my time out?
No, it doesn't matter. Do you want to say something? Go, go, go. There is no time out here. Go.
Okay. And one thing more, that she is very confirmed about her seating arrangement, that 1, 2, 3, 4 goes like that, and no group and nothing. She believes in individual studies by force. Whereas the studies are activities, we come down to a child's level and give them what they need in a manner that they feel like they're not forced to study, and they are motivated and attracted, and they want it more, and they love the subject to study.
Exactly. So allowing them that opportunity to be creative thinkers, to be engaged in thinking. I, however, have a question here, though. Regardless of how we critique the pedagogy, how many of us actually feel she's a very hard-working teacher? She's very hardworking in her own concept, right? Because she is very, very she's very keen that every student's brain is shaped, every student gets the knowledge, every student gets the understanding. She's working very hard, right? Oftentimes, that gets misunderstood and then possibly because she's not able to get the guidance and the support and the strategies to get to them to think more critically, to get to them to be more open-minded, right? So here's what we're trying to do. Only the fact is not helpful. So our role as next generation science teachers is to pull our students to the conceptual level, and making connections at the conceptual level is easier said than done, right? We know what we're talking about when you actually go to the classroom. It takes time, it takes planning, it takes practice, right? So it's like an uphill. Here we go. So we're saying memorizing and just bringing out that information in the exam is no longer helpful, right? I don't have to talk to the slide, you guys get it. We've already talked about it, bringing that connection between factual and the conceptual. Okay, so finally, before we get to that, so all what I talked the last how many ever minutes, and thank you for being very patient and very participative. I'm really appreciative of that. The whole idea is that science, like we already do, needs to be through active engagement of our students, right? Engaging our students to be thinkers, to be critical thinkers, to making those connections, and applying and working as if real-life engineers and scientists and researchers do, right? How do we bring that down to the classroom? It's very easy to say, oh, they should work like engineers and scientists. So what we're going to do in this activity, you're going to become students, and here's my question. I was very honest with you this morning about how stupid I was as a teacher. So now I want you to be honest and tell me your secrets. How many of you flew airplanes, made paper planes when you were students in the class? Ah, come on, man, come on, tell me the truth. Yes. At home, everyone, I agree. See, they're liars, right? They're not telling me the truth. How many of you, this requires you to be true. This gentleman is very truthful. He's like, you're liars. You're not saying the truth, especially the men, I'm sure. Come on. How many of you, here's my question. How many of you made the paper plane and threw it when the teacher was turning to the blackboard and writing? Oh, really? Really? Second stage. See, he's again being honest. He's again being honest, right? Okay, so since you're great, very dedicated teachers. I was a very naughty student. Anyways, so here's what we're gonna do. On your tables, there are some color papers, okay, that have a specific purpose. I'll walk you through the activity. Don't start making the airplane. Stop. Stop. Everybody has to make an airplane. Okay? Everybody. If you are a very good student, like all these ladies are lying today, you have a handout inside the folder, okay, which gives you a step. Can you please borrow this? Thank you. So this one gives you guided, there we go, I love it, she already made it. This is the guided practice. If you're already like this gentleman, honest, and there are some ladies who already made it, just make it. But competition, everybody has to come here. One person from the table has to come here and fly the airplane. Also, are you with me, ladies and gentlemen? No, you're not. You're already folding, just like your students. You're not listening to the teacher. What you need to do, as you are doing and folding and asking questions, one person in the table who is the discussion director needs to write down the questions. How do I fold it? This way, that way, which angle? I want all the questions. Okay? So one, choose a model that will fly the farthest. Two, give me the questions you are, anything you're asking, anything you're talking about. Any naughty stories they say when they were a student, write it down. Go, 10 minutes. Let me see who already has airplanes. No, everybody makes one. Yeah, everybody makes one and you choose one to fly. Okay? Everybody has to make one today. I know that. Very good. Thank you for being honest. Who was the one who made it in 2 seconds? Good. You're going to come and fly it for us. Was she? Uh-oh. Are we ready here? Everybody makes one. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. Write down the questions, ladies. Whatever questions you're asking. So they're saying, how do I fold? How do I fly it? Is it angle? Whatever, whatever. I just want to hear the questions. Questions. Write down the questions. Come on. You don't have to go step by step. How are the gentlemen doing? Come on. You know how to make an airplane. I can see some Boeing and 747 and jets and everything coming here. Ready? Go. Good. Don't forget to test your model. Test it. See how it goes. Test it, of course. Test it. If it's not flying, see, the ladies were first. They beat you, gentlemen. Test it and see if it goes. Nice. You can nose dive. If you want to make it farther, change. Yeah, you've got more paper. Change, change. All right, are we ready? Come along. I want one person from every table to come with your best model. Out here, ladies and gentlemen. Come along, bring your model. Come on, ladies, bring your model. Come on, come on, come on, this way. Well done, come on, I love it. Come on, come on. Gentlemen, come on, bring your models. Who's going from here? You're going? Come, come. Who's going from here? You're going. You already have it ready. Go, go, go. Fly, fly, fly. Go, go. Yes, I want your model and you to fly it. Doesn't matter as long as it flies. Model, who's going? Go, ladies. Go, go, go. One per table. Who's going from here? Who's going? Go, go. Go, go. That will really fly. That will fly. Ready? We're going to see if it's the men's or the women's that's going farther. I'm going to count down. Ready? Everyone's good to go? Oh, go. Come on. He actually tested his model. He did the engineering design cycle. Ready? I'm going to count down to, oh, you're capturing. I'm going to count down to 1 from 3, all right? 3, 2, 1, go! Oh my goodness! I want you to read this handout and write a short summary anywhere, anywhere. Yes, you men can read it, doesn't matter. Just read and write a short summary, okay? The purpose for me to do this, I have an objective as a teacher. I wanted my students to read the text 5 times. If I give them a piece of text and said, you have to read the story 5 times so that we can understand and we can do a dictation, will you do it? Well, I had a strategy. The first time I gave it to you, I said, read it, give me a summary, which everybody does, right? And half of them read it, half of them don't finish it. That's okay. Then I asked you a debatable question. Did he or did he not? That was the time I saw the maximum hands go up. And I saw you flipping. I saw you taking the page numbers. And I kept asking you, evidence, page number. And then as more and more answers came, I saw more and more hands going up because it was debatable. You are engaged in that discussion, correct? Then what did you do? Even without me asking, you brought about the concepts. Concept of trust, love, change, affection. And you brought about big ideas and said, a little bit of love can change somebody. A second chance can help human beings become better. And then somebody on the other side said, no, permanent change in human beings is not easy. Maybe he just went back to stealing. Can you see the power of that question? The minute I evoke debate, I have a thinking classroom. Right? And the conceptual question, so if it were a higher class, I would pose the conceptual question. Permanent change in human beings is very difficult. Discuss. Right? So what you also did here is you brought in your prior knowledge and your experience, and somebody started characterization. The lady was motherly, but still she was tough. So from you, I was able to elicit a lot of critical thinking without actually telling you, now we are going to be critical thinkers. Do you see that? And I had a purpose. I had a structure to my inquiry. So the 3 levels of questioning, going back again, factual questions have a right or a wrong answer. So I would say, how was the woman? Was she large? Was she da-da-da? Which setting was it? What was Roger's? Who was there in Roger's house? So you can dip into the text and give me a right or a wrong answer. Debatable question, we can debate all of today whether she changed him or not. Depending on the perspective, I can have both, but that's the critical part that keeps a learner engaged in their learning. So every piece of information that we access needs to engage our students through debatable and conceptual questions. Make sense to everybody? Right? So here's what we're going to do now. In your folder, so now somebody asked the great question, this is a story, why are we doing it in the science? What we're doing is, the strategies can be the same. You can ask the factual, debatable, conceptual questions in math, in English, in social sciences. I agree it's far easier in languages or social sciences because they are and it's a little more harder in math or in science, but we can still do it, right? So across, again, we talked about the spiral, we talked about consistency. So across the school, if teachers are using the same strategies, here are some factual questions, debatable and the conceptual big idea questions, and if your assessments reflect the 3 levels of questioning, that's when we are integrating to the standards. Because the next generation science standards requires us to test the students' factual knowledge, their skill and understanding, and their concepts. So if I look back at the larger concepts, the cross-cutting concepts, and if I pose a conceptual question about systems, for example, or human emotions as patterns, for example, I can get a very big idea conceptual question. Can you see that? I know it's not easy, but I hope we are making the connections. So what I want you to do before we go for lunch, in your folder there is a science reading. We're going to apply the strategy here, and we're going to come up with, at every table, some factual, debatable, conceptual question. And the reading is, what is the big idea about water? Is that what it says? Yes. So read that. It's a very short reading. You're scientists, you're experts in science. I'm not. So you tell. Okay. And now I trust. Okay, you're English. That's why you were so interested in that reading. Go back to the science reading and give me some factual, conceptual, debatable questions. And I promise you a nice lunch after that. So in this reading, what is the big idea about water? Try to see what cross-cutting concepts can be hit upon as we go through that unit. Are we ready? Can we take questions, or you need 5 more minutes?
How can we reduce water?
Okay, how can we reduce the usage of water?
Yes,
Okay.
and how
Is that
technologies-
factual or debatable?
Yes, how technologies affect water?
Okay, how technologies affect water. Will that be factual or debatable? Okay, how does it affect both sides? Okay, what other questions?
Factual, like what are the resources of water?
I love it.
Fresh water.
Okay, so you have right and a wrong answer, right? What are the resources for water?
There is also a question that how can we save the endangered species of marine animals when the water is being polluted?
Oh my God, that's a very big conceptual question. So you're getting into saving of endangered species through conserving water, okay?
Debatable question that
Yeah.
every drop we use or waste continues through the water cycle. Then why to preserve or conserve water?
Okay, why should we, and now getting into the concept of water cycle,
Yes.
right, which is the factual. And I want to, that's a great teachable moment here. Remember, when we structure the factual, conceptual, debatable questions, it doesn't have to be a linear trajectory. It doesn't mean you finish all the factual and the conceptual. What you said right now, you're dipping into water cycle, which is very factual. You have a particular explanation. From there, you're taking them to the conceptual, right? Excellent. And that's what we want. We want students to use facts to get into the conceptual understanding, right? Excellent. Yes, go.
Before the use of technology, how was water conserved?
Okay.
How was water?
Okay. On the same lines of technology, right? How was before? So you're going back?
The importance, talking about the importance of the swamps and riverbanks.
Okay.
And the organisms that were living there.
Again,
previously.
linking the factual and the
And
conceptual.
then what changes have technology made to the human race?
Absolutely. Oh my God, that's a big question, right? What changes has technology made for human race? Sorry.
What is the connection between life and water?
Okay.
And then
Connection. Can you see the new concept there? The concept of interdependence, right? Science is all about interdependence and connection, okay?
uses. Water also is one of the important environmental resources, so we have to think about new methods how to make a sustainable development.
Okay, sustainable development.
How to use environmental resources wisely.
So you're getting into those other science, larger concepts and topics.
Okay,
Absolutely.
and how would that affect the whole water cycle?
Okay, that's huge, right? How will all of this impact the water cycle, or how will it affect other organisms in the ecosystem?
I would probably ask them, we still need to use water, but how could we do that and protect our planet as well?
Ah, okay.
So
how can
could
we
they
save
come up
our
with-
planet? Absolutely. You know, there was a great, I don't know if I have that video, I don't think I do, but there was an interesting learning engagement that one school planned. So what they did was, before they gave out this reading, like somebody said, you know, you could do the airplane activity as a hook. So what they did was, they asked all students in the class and then across the grade level for 2 weeks to measure the quantity of water they are using in a day. Okay, so they brought in math and they said, everybody has to measure how much you are using. They charted it, so they had some tables, they categorized it, who uses more, who uses less. Through that, they taught ratio and proportion, right? In the science class, they talked about interdependence of ecosystems. And then, when they wanted to focus on the concept of interdependence, they said, okay, at the end of 3 weeks, everybody tell us the total amount of water you've used. And they said, the big idea question, the debatable question, what happens is everybody cuts down 2 liters of water usage per day. How will that impact us as a community? How will it impact us locally? And how will it impact us globally? Can you see that? So the whole use of, within that they brought in water cycle. In math they talked about ratio and proportion. In arts, of course, creative people can come up with. So that whole 4 units, the big idea was exactly what you said in this table when we started. The very question is a very debatable. What's the big idea about water? Absolutely. That's what leads the debate. Make sense? I know we can continue to talk about this, but I'm really glad you've made those connections, because oftentimes we feel, oh, it's great to ask these questions in the English class, but what about science? What about math? It takes planning. It will take some effort, because it makes, sometimes your brain hurts from thinking, but that's good. It just means we will not get Alzheimer's when we become older, because your gray matter is always working, so that's a good thing. But I hope we made those connections. Everybody has to hold one object that belongs to you, that will go around the table. May or may not come back to you, but that's okay. But everybody needs to have an object. Ready? All right, here I go. This is the story of the Wright family. Last night, the Wright family went to see a part of a cricket game between India and Australia. They left the house at 6 o'clock right after the Wright family finished dinner. Mr. Wright drove everyone to the game in the red family van, which is always parked on the left side of the driveway. In the van were Mrs. Wright, Ahmed Wright, Zara Wright, and Alif Wright. As they drove down the street, Mrs. Wright waved to Puthri, their neighbor, who lives 2 houses down on the left. She was walking in her garden on the right side of her house. As the Wright family approached the Sport City Stadium, Mr. Wright exclaimed, "I can't remember where I left the tickets." Alif Wright said, "Dad, I saw you put them in your right-hand pocket." Mr. Wright checked, but they were not there. Zara said, "No, Dad, that isn't right. You left the tickets with me for safekeeping. I have them right here in my bag." "What a relief," said Mr. Wright, as he turned left into the arena of the car park. Alif almost left his jumper in the van, but right when Mr. Wright was about to lock the doors, he remembered that he left it under his seat. The Wright family had to wait in line for a bit, but finally made it to their seats on the left side of the stadium. As they sat down, Mr. Wright looked to his left at the whole Wright family and smiled. He had made the right decision in getting the Wright family to the game of cricket. Not done. Not done. Questions. Where are the Wrights going? What teams are playing? Where are they playing? How many Wright family members? What are their names? What time was the game? Which day? Who forgot his jumper? Who had the tickets? How did the Wrights get to the game? All right, get back to your seats. How is this going to help us in life? How is it going to equip our students for college and career and life readiness? So, all of the noise that we do sometimes, again in good intentions, just ends up left, right, and they finish all the way to graduation and they're like, now what? Now it's real life. Get ready to learn about real life. And they go, really? Do you see what I'm saying? So we talked a lot about paradigm shift. One of the critical paradigm shifts in incorporating the next generation science standards and the Common Core standards is to critically engage in that thinking to say what really matters. I had a lot of interesting conversations from many of you who came over at lunch and talked about time factor. And I'm not saying it's something easy. Yes, we do have the time factor. We do have to finish whatever we are doing. But the first thing is we cannot teach it all anymore. You just cannot. At every table, I come from the city of Burj Khalifa, so I'm very much attracted to the Burj. Every table has this. Every table has 20 straws. Okay? You have tape and you have scissors. If you don't have them, you need to let me know now. Everybody has it? All right. Here's your challenge. You need to build the tallest tower in the most aesthetic design. I would highly recommend if you have 10 people, it's fine, that's good. Be a larger number, it's good for you to work together. Oh, you don't have scissors as well? There we go, and here's your scissors. Right? How many are still standing upright and how many are not? Okay, some are still standing. And look at that one. That's a tower cum bridge. So you climb up the tower and you go down the bridge. Right. What are the questions that you had? What are the questions that came about? Well, what did we get through this activity? Teamwork. Okay. Planning, like somebody said, we spend too much time planning. Yes? Okay, cooperation, teamwork, planning, what else? Design. If you can imagine the amount of questions that will generate and the amount of concepts of math, art, science, design, language that you can bring in, research that you can bring in, it's huge. Think out of the box, not just for the students, but for ourselves. How can we make learning in science more integrated, hands-on, through fun-based learning? This team is still trying to keep their tower up. Make sense? Yes? And if you really want to look up, there is lots into STEAM, not just within NGSS, but a lot within STEAM as well. So if you just simply look up STEAM with arts and education, there's a whole website on that. So there's lots of resources, lots of research, and lots of things that you can pull and tweak and modify. Right? Like I said, so we begin with reflecting, redesigning our curriculum. We cannot have a two-dimensional curriculum. So the shift of three-dimensional. Minor tinkering here and there, a little bit adding, deleting will not help. We have to look at our assignments and say, is this factual, debatable? Are we looking at the concepts? Are we bringing in the engineering design practices? I'm not saying you have to do it for every single assignment, but make sure in a year at least 2 are rigorous enough to incorporate them even before you adopt the standard. So you're kind of gradually building that way. You have to assess as the students are in the learning engagements. When they are doing this, when they're sticking it up to the roof, what is the thought process? Right? What are they getting, the understanding, the knowledge, and the essential principles, the disciplinary core ideas? That's critical in NGSS. So going back to my earlier example this morning when I talked about Professor Eric Mazur, Mazur talks about a very interesting way of assessing students' understanding formatively. He calls it peer assessment. So he says if you're teaching a specific topic, assign them some work on it, some research, look up something, come back, and then ask them to explain it to each other. While students are explaining it to each other, you go around taking notes. What have they understood? What is their misconception? I can already see you shaking your heads because you're probably doing it. But that's a great strategy to, again, make thinking visible. Good? I can't see any towers. Now I'm going to see which is the tallest tower. Somebody's putting it up, putting it up. Funny, funny. All right, so here we are, the final session. Any thoughts to share before we get to the last segment of resources? I know there have been great questions. I know you people want many of you have asked for the presentation. Like I said, it will be with Andrew or Iyad. Once you finish the conference, they will be sending it to you. Not today. There's still math tomorrow. Hopefully by early next week, Andrew. So it will reach all of the participants who have registered. I'm more than happy to give my email, and I did to a couple of you who are doing some studies. So, but the reason I prefer you take Andrew's email is that there's one channel, and if it is an alpha resource specific question, Andrew or Iyad are more knowledgeable than I am because they've been involved in it right from the beginning. So, but if it is a research question that you want to, some resources or something, they're going to send it to me. So that's not a problem. So when we finish it, Andrew's email's up there, or of course you know whom to catch to get Andrew's email. He's right there. What other questions, thoughts, any other? And it was very nice of all of you. Some of you came and talked about how you already do peer assessments in your classes, how you do some activities, but you're like, yes, we do activities, but what we're now going to do is specifically use the engineering design process, so there is consistency, and I'm glad you're getting that little extra bit. We're not saying throw everything that you're doing, and here's what you can do to become next generation science teachers. No, because if we do that, we end up throwing the baby with the bathwater. We don't want to do that, right? We want to keep the baby. We want to keep all the wonderful things that you're already doing. We want to rethink, reevaluate, reflect, and just become better. That's just the process we are looking at.
Should we move to the gifts? I'm coming for the fun part.
We can. While they do that, we can move to the gifts.
Okay, so while you are filling in the evaluation form, we have some gifts, 6 BIB gifts. We will ask you a few questions about NGSS, Common Core State Standards, and Alpha Science. So be ready for that, okay? I'm not a science expert, actually, but when we started Alpha Science,
no problem.
and we looked at the NGSS, we said this: you are the science teachers, I'm not a science teacher. We say we need less theory, but in depth. So once you start with a topic, change it to a concept, your students should master this concept. Now, how can I know that my students master this concept? It's all about doing science. So I go to the application part, applying science, applying the concepts in classrooms. Fine. What else is missing? Show me the evidence as a student. Show me the evidence that you master this concept. So this is where I think today you had two activities, yeah? The airplane and the tower. 3 activities. So this is what we would like to make our lessons. Your classroom is your lab. A question about the lab manuals, yes, they are available in your teacher's edition. But again, if you noticed, in each lesson that you have within the book, the materials are always listed for you. So for a reason or another, if you don't have a lab at your school, or if this lab is busy with other classes, you can still carry on and do your experiments in the classroom. Ready? Do we have any questions before we move to the fun part?
Okay, so you're going to give those gifts?
Yes.
Okay, questions, challenge questions?
Well, let's make it very easy.
Easy questions?
But okay, let's put the rules, okay? We have 6 eyes, okay? What we will do, the first one, hands up, he has the opportunity to answer the question, but we are looking for complete answers, okay? Easy questions, but complete answers. Would you like to start?
Oh, do I have to ask? Okay. What are the 3 components we looked at in the next generation science standards? There we go.
We have the...
Okay, here, right?
Yeah, okay.
It's coming, ladies. Keep your hands up.
First has the chance to answer first.
Science and engineering, common core idea, and disciplinary core.
Once again. You're close. Disciplinary core, yes.
Yes, cross-cutting concepts.
Very good.
And science and engineering.
Very good. The engineering design practices, close, but yes, you got the essence of it. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, we have a winner.
Design practices,
Thank you very much.
cross-cutting concepts, and that's very good because you're totally new to NGSS. So I give it to you. If you were already in NGSS, I wouldn't give it to you. I want the exact words, right? But no. All right, you want to give the next question?
Yeah, I'll give you a very easy question. Very easy. You know, we are moving from STEM, technology, engineering, and math to STEAM, yeah, where we're adding the English language arts, yeah? How does Alpha show this in their science books? We have one there.
You add art to STEM. It becomes STEAM.
Where? Where can you see this in Alpha science books?
Let me take a look.
Give it a guess, guys. You don't lose anything.
Math and science and English for the new vocabulary.
No, not the right answer. Not the right answer.
I think she has it.
We have there, and then I'll come back to you because I have a lady over there. Well, you can flick through the content if you have a book in front of you.
Okay. I think it's in the practice book, and it could be through the integration between science and art and the designing process.
The integration is always there, but I need you to tell me if you open your science book and someone asks you a question and he says or she says, show me the English language art. Where? Okay, I'll come back to you, sir. I have here. No. Problem solving connects to the math. No, it's not the logo because you can put any logo. No.
Content,
Oh, you
like
get it.
and reading portion of science book that was
What do we call it?
reading,
Reading what?
reading skill or something.
No.
Reading.
You're close.
You are so close. You are so close.
What?
With the in-core activities.
Who said they're reading science? Be honest. Who was the first one? Okay, we have a winner. Here, you, or here? Type. Okay, a challenge between both of you. So we can be fair. So you can see before you start any chapter in science, you have reading science. And this reading science is connected to what? To English language art. So if you have compare and contrast as a skill, you know, you need to apply this skill, and you take this skill with you throughout the lessons. This is where the integration we are talking about. When we say that, how can we connect science and math? When we apply science to solve problems. Okay, fine. Challenge between both of you, only. The question is, can you name 7 components of alpha science? 7 components. 7 components. Just a minute. 7 components.
Pattern, cause and effect.
No.
No, he's asking the 7
I'm
components.
talking
of
about alpha science. We have components of this program. Between both, 7 components. No, those are the 5 E's. No. I'll help you, both of you, with one. Student edition. Second. Those are 5, still 2. Still 2 to go. Online resources, 7.
I think you can give it to her. She's close.
And the assessment. Okay, your vote will go here or here. Very embarrassing, eh? Okay, so we have a winner, but you have the chance to answer the next question from Soda. We'll give you the chance to answer the next question.
I'm going to ask a very easy question.
So we have student edition, practice book, teacher's edition, anchor activity kit, multiple intelligence cards, exit cards, the ELL component, the lesson plan, and the assessment. And one is missing. You like it as science teacher. Graphic organizers. Yes, thank you very much. So the first question will go here. If she can answer, she deserves.
Okay.
If not, we will apply it for the others.
Okay.
This will give you an opportunity to think about the question.
So if she doesn't answer, you pass it on to others?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
What are the 3 levels of questioning we saw today?
3 levels of questioning. Here.
3 levels of questioning.
Yes, yes. Factual and no. Huh?
Are you cheating?
And debatable.
Yes, we have a winner here. Thank you very much. So 3 types of question. Okay, factual, debatable, and questionable.
Conceptual.
The question may be, how can they link 3 of them? Could we ask this question, or is it very difficult?
Well, they can explain how we link. They already did, though.
Okay, that's it.
Next question is you.
My question.
Okay.
Okay. The question will be about very easy question. In each grade, how many volumes are there and what are they? I have here. Tell me.
Life science, earth science, physical science, and technology.
Science and technology. We have a winner here. Where is Andy?
There we go.
Okay. Soda, your question.
Okay, next question. Yes, the easy one. Who can tell me the components of the engineering design cycle? Okay, right there.
Right there. She was the first one.
Ask a question. And,
you did.
Then plan and build, redesign, test and improve, and the last is communication.
Here's the
conclusion.
Is that correct? I couldn't hear.
Can you please repeat? Soda, listen.
Ask a question, plan and build. Imagination of creating the same thing.
It has to go in order.
Test and improve, redesign, and communicate.
Okay, thank you.
Wait a minute. Let's give it a balance because this
Who's the
one
second?
feels Iyad is looking only there. So here, Iyad was the second person.
Yes, okay. Ask a question.
Yeah.
Plan.
Yeah.
Sorry. Ask a question. Create.
Ask, what's the second step? Okay, wrong.
Okay.
Ask, second step.
Imagine.
Correct.
Okay. After imagine, plan.
Okay.
And create. After that, improve. Yeah.
Well done. I can't debate. Okay, last question you. Yes.
The last question. Life science on page 16, the first word is...
What? What?
Okay. This is my question to you. And again, it's about alpha science. Okay? Let's have an easy question. Does alpha science
And I
as
think
a
it should go on
program,
this side.
okay,
Seriously, they need some.
can be, to the gentleman, how many winners do we have from the female side?
Like everybody.
1, 2, 3. 3, yeah?
But let's face it, they were more active.
The more the math. Okay, my question, easy question. Alpha science can be delivered in classrooms in 3 ways. What are those 3 ways? 3 means of delivery. 3 means of delivery. You can use alpha science and you can apply it with your students in 3 different formats, if I can say. in 3 different formats. I'll give you number 1, so it's a clue for you because it's a little bit strange question. You have the Brent content. Still 2. 2. The Brent, I mean the books themselves. No. Digital?
Yeah, digital.
And what's the third? It's digital, is online. Technology is digital. Hands-on activity is a component. Presentation is a way where you present alpha science. Third, I have a gentleman here, let's see.
Experimental work.
Experimental work, assessment, lab. Okay, when you join Brent and digital, what do we call it? What do we call it? When you marry Brent and digital together? What do you call it? What type of learning are we talking about here? E-learning is only digital. Teamwork is where you work in groups. Smart learning. Blended learning solution. It's a blended learning solution where you have the Brent in classroom and still your students can access the online resources to extend their learning, which is a smart class. Yep, you are right. But I was looking for the terminology. Right, okay, another question, last question, because I don't want you to keep you very late. My question about the practice book. How many practice book do we have per grade and what do they cover? I have here. How many practice books do we have per grade?
It's one practice book only for all the chapters.
For all the volumes, we have one practice book. We have a winner, and I'll tell you why. We have one practice book. This practice book you look at as an extended learning book for you because the science book, the student edition, the volumes are by themselves highly interactive. So if you would like to get your students more exercises, you can use the practice book. Okay? Closing, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure having you today with us. Building on one thing, when I started this morning my speech, I said one size doesn't fit all. And I know that you have different challenges in your schools. Even if you have a school next to a school, each school has its own challenges. We are ready to come to your school, explore your needs, and build your in-house free training. So if you are interested in exploring further the idea of coming to your school and give you a free training that does speak to your needs and your challenges, please, you have Andrew email. You email Andrew and be contacting you for science, math, and English. Science, math, and English. Okay, certificates. We do have some of the certificates. And for teachers who registered before Wednesday last week, don't worry, you will be getting your certificates by next week if you haven't registered online, if you didn't register online. Okay, would you like to close? Thank you.
Thanks, Ed. Just a couple of things from me. I'm conscious it's 3:15, so we're just about on time. First of all, social media. This is new for us, engaging with teachers and schools through social media. So we're on Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest. I think, and Instagram. Please follow us. We're just starting to add lots of content on there, and we're going to be putting more and more content in the coming weeks. Is it working now yet? We're not just talking about things to do with our own resources through social media. We're publishing all sorts of papers and interesting things that we find and interesting comments by people. So please follow us, and that would be fantastic. Follow us, like us, those things. As Iyad said, please get in touch with me if you have any questions. I will be sending out a copy of the presentation today on email early next week when I'm back in the office in Dubai. I will also be following up with the samples that people have asked for again next week. So back end of next week, hopefully you'll begin to receive samples of things. Certificates Iyad mentioned. We are, just one final thing, we are going to be just doing a couple of pieces to camera just at the top of the stairs. We're after a couple of people, just 30 seconds or a minute, to tell the camera what you've thought of today, what you've taken away, what you found useful, what you think of the content. So if anybody's willing to do that, please grab myself or Iyad. It would be hugely appreciated. That just leaves me to say thank you very much to Dr. Souda. Thank you to our partners from Almia and Future Education at the back here. And most importantly, thank you to all of you for coming and spending your time today. If we're seeing you tomorrow, look forward to it. If not, have a safe trip home. And we'll see you all very soon, I'm sure. Thank you again.
Thank you very much.